Issue 222. We start out right away the next day with Sonic smiling while running, thinking that Tails has gotten faster. Tails flies away with a nervous smile and worrying that since Sonic's seen him, he doesn't know if he'll make it. He must be really polite to bother saying excuse me to a bunch of people he's flying over. He also has Teapot behind him. I like that he lasted past the Tails Adventure adaptation. He's unable to make it to the flag to capture it because Sonic jumps up to him as if he's from Sonic CD and can jump 50 feet in the air. Why can't I do that in the games? Sonic asks Tails to play again and he'll hide the flag this time, and Tails says that he should hide it someplace that's not as obvious as Chuck's diner or under his bed. I wonder if Scourge and Miles played this kind of game as kids. I wouldn't expect Sonic to be so uncreative though. Didn't Eggman say he was unpredictable? He's being pretty predictable here. It's nice to see the two have a brotherly moment together where they hang out one-on-one, wasting their times playing games. We barely get to see that. I hope this is implying that this is really common off screen and we just don't get to see it. Sonic smirks slyly, saying that he's lulling him to a false sense of security, and Tails rolls his eyes as if he thinks he's lying to save face. If so, why is he smirking and not nervous? He says he should be getting ready for his date with Sally. What's to get ready for? Does she want him to wear a tuxedo? Sonic says that's not until tonight, and lampshades that the two don't get enough time to just have fun. In Stormtop Village, over in the Dragon Kingdom, we see Sally visiting Khan. Wait, if she can just do that, just go all the way over to some other country whenever she wants, then what's the argument against them being together? Khan says that aside from the usual Yagyu raids, things have been going fine, and Sally asks with a smile if the other clans are cooperating. Khan complains that there's bickering and posturing, and then says that the free people are living in peace, and that's all that matters. And while the Queen is angry, she's not going anywhere. Sally explains how tense things are at home. When Khan lampshades that she doesn't usually run away from challenges like that, she reveals that it's because she has a date with Sonic tonight, and she's irrationally worried about wrecking things, since she messed the relationship up. For some reason, she's not sure if they're the same people they once were, but their personalities have changed a bit since they first got together. You'd think she'd know that. I mean, Sally's much more emotionally stable than when they first got together. But, no wait, never mind. She was fine in issue 50. I'm glad that they have a friendship moment where they're together in the Dragon Kingdom after the time when Sally said she wasn't going to date him. I thought that would be the last time they'd be together. Khan reassures her that they're friends can talk. When Khan points out that there's a time difference and it's late afternoon where she's from, she panics because she made a mistake, losing track of time, and uses a warp ring to get home. Okay, so she could just warp here anytime. Officially no reason for her not to be dating him instead of Sonic, but whatever. When Sonic crashes into Sally, fortunately this not only doesn't injure her from crashing into her at the speed of sound, but she isn't angry at him either, forgiving him right away. Sonic says to Tails that he's lost track of time, and we finally get to see Sally having a moment with her mother again, saying that she has no plan for the date. It's nice to see her be nervous over nothing and be relatable because of it. With this story being all about a character worried about going on a date, I'm reminded of the issue where Knuckles was dealing with that, from the Knuckles comic. That's not an insult though, I found that charming enough aside from the art. Sonic then says to Uncle Chuck in a panic that he's going to be late for a date. As Sally puts on a beautiful dress, her mother says awkwardly that dating was different in her day, as in she'd probably have some very sexist advice. Sonic lies to save face that he's not nervous, he just wants us to go right for Sally. Sally's mother asks her how serious the date is, since she might not want to go all formally with her outfit. Common sense would dictate they would go informally since it's the first one in a while. Sally worries neurotically about whether she should ask Bunny to be a hairstylist for her tonight. I'd say she should. Again, this kind of neuroticness I really love about Sally. But she doesn't like to show weakness most of the time, so I usually just see the Ice Queen on the outside. Meanwhile, Sonic's looking all carefree, and as Sally's mother puts her hand on her chin telling her to just be herself like Sonic wants, Uncle Chuck puts his hand on Sonic's shoulder saying as he looks worried to be himself and relax. Sally hugs her mother thanking her, saying she's not sure how to be herself though, and Sonic just fist bumps his uncle of all people, which just looks weird. He's trying way too hard to be cool here. Sonic tells Sally that he's got them reservations at the best of the best since it's their first date in forever, though he'd be fine with going to Uncle Chuck's diner if she wants to. Sally feels bad because she thinks it is a serious date and she blew it already by dressing informally, not realizing that she can relax because Sonic couldn't care less. I love seeing Sally have that kind of socially awkward moment. Like, she basically is socially awkward the whole issue by being worried over nothing. Sonic says that Antoine recommended the place, saying that they don't use margarine, which is fake butter, basically. It makes sense that he used French to describe it now. He's just imitating his buddy. For some really stupid reason, someone doesn't recognize Sonic at first, when this is the middle of the Nanite City and everyone should fucking know who he is. As Scratch walks around serving people as a waiter as if it's nothing, so I guess he really did make a heel face turn like it's nothing, they see that Ash and Mina are having a date tonight. Sally sits down and says to Sonic that she wishes she handled the talk after the concert better, since Mina's just worried for the citizens. No, she did it perfectly. Coldly telling people off with the exact perfect phrasing is what she's great at. Then a waiter thinks it's okay to ask them a personal question instead of taking their orders. And not only that, but he asks them when they're gonna pull the plug on Nicole. I mean, holy shit, how can he not realize that she's their friend and he's asking them to murder her? She's been with them so long, publicly. You'd think he'd know better. This is just him being handed the idiot ball for the sake of drama. Sally refuses, and surprisingly, a citizen stands up for Nicole, overhearing, saying, "Yeah! Nicole's a freedom fighter too! The Iron Queen was using mind control, duh!" Mina overhears and unhappily decides to leave without dessert because of it, complaining, "This isn't what my music was supposed to create." Sally and Sonic eat some bread as they hear yet another civilian defending Nicole, a pleasant surprise at this point, as I thought none of them would. And Scratch annoyingly gets cut off without being able to finish the sentence. Sonic complains that he's lost his appetite. Well, maybe he shouldn't have gotten filled up on bread. Why the hell do they put those at restaurants? They try to leave, and when they're stopped by the waiter, Amy heroically shows up out of nowhere and smacks the floor with her hammer, saying, "Give it a rest!" She says happily to Sonic and Sally to have a lovely evening together, since she's not a jealous fangirl like a bad fanfiction would have her, and then she stands up to him being a badass. This is when I like Amy. Those two have done more for you in this city than anyone else. They get to have one night of peace and quiet. Oh, I thought she was gonna stand up for Nicole, but she didn't. When the civilian says she's always after Sonic, lampshading this, she looks annoyed at first, but fortunately she's written well once again because she doesn't go psycho on him from a hair-trigger temper, and instead says that she just wants Sonic to be happy, and right now, Sally makes Sonic very happy. So we don't get to see her stand up for Nicole, because we immediately cut away to Sonic and Sally, with Sonic amusingly saying, "Nah," to Sally asking if he was waiting for her all this time, and Sally lampshading what charm he has from that. Sonic says that he knew Sally wouldn't want him to wait for her, and they've got to live their lives the best they can. The two talk for a while, with Sonic revealing that he was jealous of Khan. When Sonic points out that she was jealous of Mina, proving that she's not that above it all, Sally teases that when she opens up to him, he turns it back on her. And Sonic jokes with a nervous smile that he's always one step ahead of everyone. She tells him not to get too much further ahead, because she wants to be at his side. Sonic admits that he could at least try to slow down for her, as the two still have nervous smiles. This is way more natural, romantic chemistry than when they were kissing saying they missed each other so much somewhere before the Zorda showing up. As Sally seems to snuggle up to Sonic, Jeffrey is spying on them, and at first he looks jealous, only to look depressed afterwards, accepting it, as some sort of stench or whatever seems to come off him, that you'd think Sonic and Sally would notice. You'd think he would have ruined the romantic moment like that. He tells Exis resentfully that he doesn't have the head for practicing his shadow melding tonight, and while I expected the conversation to continue further, it doesn't, and the story immediately ends with Ixis claiming to take over the city. I guess he waited until now so that Nicole hatred would become more widespread and common, festering instead of just centered at a concert. We see Nicole asking Knuckles while stuttering with a smile if he's enjoying the night sky on a bridge. Knuckles says that the news they're giving him can't be that bad, and then we cut to the science center where Dimitri warmly greets them. Knuckles, the hothead, gets furious at nobody telling him about this, rather than appreciating how he was greeted so nicely. Dimitri says that he wanted to remain hidden until he had the strength to speak to him, and despite Knuckles remembering they used to be enemies, he still lets him talk, and is stunned at Dimitri saying, "I'm sorry for everything. I don't know which is more shameful, my crippling pride or how long it took me to acknowledge it. With each mistake I made, I thought that I and only I could right it. Had I just listened to my brother back then, we both would have been able to live our lives with our families. Except it was already firmly established that if the Dark Legion hadn't been formed, thanks to Dimitri, Neither would the guardianship with our magic training, and thus Angel Island would have been taken over, and Knuckles would have ended up roboticized, not to mention not nearly as powerful. I guess technically Knuckles would be living life with his family, and well, the BEM would have de-roboticized him and his people eventually anyways. So yeah, things would turn out fine, but not really, because at least for the guardianship, Knuckles' magical powers make him useful. As the two look depressed, Dimitri admits that he couldn't save the Dark Legion from Eggman, and that he's lost enough to ask for Knuckles' forgiveness and guidance. Knuckles is too proud to give it right away, instead asking him how he ended up here. Dimitri explains himself and feels his Legion is being mind-controlled by now. Knuckles facepalms, saying that half their kind are either slaves or as good as dead. What does Flynn have against the echidnas, seriously? Dimitri says in fear, "Please don't punch me in the face, it's all I have left." Knuckles angrily tells him to go back to Angel Island, get plugged into what's left at Haven, and spend his life trying to fix this mess. Dimitri nervously thanks him and agrees, and Knuckles leaves, saying seriously that he'll see what Julie can do. Fortunately, he says he understands why Nicole and Espio did what they did, and thanks them. The story ends with them all smiling because it went a lot better than expected. This issue was by Ian Flynn. We certainly needed a light-hearted story of downtime after what happened recently. I'm still glad we got to see dissent about Nicole to have some excitement, though. And I really love that some civilians are defending her, with it being 2-1 against a waiter. Sonic and Sally have a date, with Sally neurotically worrying about it beforehand, reminding me why I like her so much. And Jeffrey reveals from spying on them that he still wants Sally, but is busy working on shadow melding. If he was only using Ixis to learn how to be good at magic, I'd completely understand. He could use it to be productive later, although I don't see why he'd try to get him on the throne and not just be with him and that's it. Instead, he was talking about returning the rightful king to the throne when Ixis was never on it, and certainly doesn't deserve to be in charge. So there has to be some brainwashing here to make sense. And the second story has Knuckles get apologized to by Dimitri and tell him to get plugged into Haven and try to be helpful there. It was sweet, and almost tear-jerking how Dimitri apologized. I have to commend Knuckles on the fact that while he was angry at first, he let him speak, appreciated his apology, and wasn't mad at Nicole for more than a minute. That's good writing.